When I wake up, I first thank God for the day. I come in and make my hot tea and water my flowers and my plants, say a few words to them of encouragement. And then I open my drapes and just look at the mountains, so thankful that I'm here in this location. I think it excels in majestic beauty. I've been several places in my life, several countries, and I think Colorado Springs is the prettiest.
Places. We all have our favorites, whether it's a coffee shop, a park, a city, country, or even grandma's house. Just like people, every place is unique. Places hold special meanings for people, both good and bad. And, just like people, they need to distinguish themselves from others in order to attract residents, investors, and visitors. I'm Kristof, a master's student at UCCS with a passion for exploring places, taking photos, telling stories, and experiencing cultures. I'm not exactly a traditional student. I got really fortunate to find an area of study that combines all of these interests: place branding. What is place branding? I'm sure you're familiar with a few brands, say Microsoft, Coca-Cola, or Starbucks, for example. Each of these brands is distinguishable not only because of the logos, services, or products they provide, but also because of their reputations and the impacts that they have on our daily lives. Why should places be any different? Branding isn't a new concept for places, but recently it's become more important to authentically and effectively communicate your brand, as exposure is only a few taps or clicks away. In this series, we'll explore places across the world, taking an in-depth look at the pieces required for building their brands. We'll then discover how these brand decisions resonate with or alter people's opinions of places and how they interact with them. The point of this episode is to help you understand some of the foundational concepts in place branding through the knowledge of researchers, experience of branding professionals, and the stories of places as told by locals and tourists. How are brands developed? And who should make these decisions? Our first stop is in Denver, Colorado, to talk with an economic development and place branding pro, John Karras.
A lot of people think about corporations or companies or products that have a brand, but they don't really think about, does a place, a community, a city have a brand? And your city does have a brand, whether you like it or not, or whether you've been intentional about designing it or not. But it's really, you're trying to communicate what your region, your community is all about. And what is the promise that you're making to the people that want to come there, visit there, maybe move there, stay there, and the companies that want to invest in that place or not.
So every place has a brand. How are place brands different from corporate ones or products?
So all the differences come from the fact that the place is much more complex than a product. Branding, when we talk about places, becomes much more a coordination activity, an activity of trying to figure out what are the commonalities between all the stakeholders and emphasizing those and building on them a strategic vision for the future. Whereas companies are able to shape everything much more than we can in place branding. This is the real difference.
This summer, I had an internship in Budapest, where I got to have some hands-on training in international place branding practices. During that time, I got to sit down with Mihalis Kavaratzis, one of the leading researchers in the field of place branding.
Yeah, but place branding is a way to influence positively the reputation of the place. I think there's the word reputation, whereas it is not really accepted academically as a synonym for the brand. This is what people understand. So with place branding, we try to build a more positive reputation for the place. That's what it is about. And why do we do that? Because this reputation provides the basis or the background for a lot of decisions that people make around the place. That sort of opens the door for us. It is easier to approach an investor, to talk to them. We get their attention much easier if there is a brand or this reputation behind us. It is easier to bring visitors, tourists. It is easier to attract or win over government, national resources, for example, or international resources. It just makes all decisions much easier. That is the main reason.
Place branding then is a tool that helps places to authentically show off their best face. It's a holistic approach that looks at not only tourists, but locals and investors as well. Let's take a look at how this process went down in my hometown of Colorado Springs.
We found ourselves on a trip to Nashville, Tennessee with the Chamber of Commerce. There were 6 of us at the table waiting for our flight to leave, and we had a discussion of what impressed us about Nashville. And I had expressed the opinion that I was very impressed by how Nashville had branded itself as Music City, USA. And I was wondering what we could do in Colorado Springs that would be similar, that we could develop. Doug immediately had the answer. He said, "I'll tell you what it is, Janet. It's the Olympics." And a lot of different ideas crystallized in both of our minds. And I just knew instantly that that was it.
Colorado Springs had a reputation. And it was an unwarranted brand, but it was people from the outside in the media branding us the way they saw us, as a right-wing, conservative, government, military town. And though there was some truth to that, what we were not doing was branding ourselves from the inside out. And what Olympic City USA has allowed us to do is really develop a brand around a place that no one else can really lay claim to. And we really felt that there was no other city that could take have the USOC, the training sites, the national governing bodies of sport that are here, and then on top of the sports corp and the hill climb and the events that we have here, we like to use that term sports ecosystem that we needed to leverage.
Let's talk about Colorado Springs. The city is a sprawling suburbia nestled at the base of the Rocky Mountains. At an elevation of 6,035 feet, the air is a bit more thin here, but that doesn't stop people from enjoying the ease of access to over 5,000 acres of open spaces in 48 spots across the city. Geographically speaking, the Springs is large enough to house both Las Vegas and Cincinnati, with a little room to spare. Taking so much space, it's no surprise that the flat east side of the city is completely different from the hilly west side. The common thread between these different parts of town is the prominence of Pikes Peak, the 14,000-foot mountain visible from almost everywhere in the city. U.S. World News and Report named Colorado Springs as one of the top 3 cities to live in the United States in 2018 and again in 2019. The population has exploded over the past few years, and there is evidence of this growth across the city, with infrastructure projects and new neighborhood developments across town. There are 5 major military bases here, including the U.S. Air Force Academy. As far as the sports ecosystem that Doug mentioned, Colorado Springs houses 24 U.S. national federations for Olympic sports, and over 50 national sports organizations headquartered in this city. Through the task force created by Mr. Price and Mrs. Southers, Colorado Springs officially took the moniker Olympic City, USA in July 2015. As a person that grew up in the Springs, I was skeptical about the choice in brand. Personally, I've had very little interaction with the Olympic organizations or athletes, and I didn't understand how this connected with the Colorado Springs that is experienced every day by both residents and visitors to the city. Turns out, I had a few more questions for Mihalis and John about best practices for developing an authentic place brand identity.
The identity is a process. Identity forms as people go about their business, their everyday life in the city, in the place where they move from their house to the work and back and whatever. They come across tourists who are there for different purposes and other users of the place. And that, in combination with, of course, all the history that the place carries, that's how the identity develops and forms organically. That is the first thing we need to understand, because if we miss that point, we make the mistake to think that identity is something that we can really decide in the town hall and project and promote, and everybody will suddenly agree that yes, this place has this certain identity. That's not how it works. Identity is organic. It develops on its own, really.
You said like some of the most successful branding projects you've seen have been grassroots. How common is that? Is it more common to see top-down as far as branding, or is it pretty common to see these grassroots approaches to brand?
There's a lot of top-down stuff to try to convince different groups, whether your target audience is real estate developers or investors or multinational corporations, and sometimes that works, but even when it is top-down, there has to be enough local truth, and you got to be leveraging your local assets for it to be kind of a sticky brand where it's something that local people can resonate with, and it sounds like, okay, you're not just trying to bring some brand that has no connection to what our city, what our region is all about, and try to promote this as, oh, we're the next Silicon whatever in some small town in the Midwest.
So that's where branding techniques are useful. That's where emotional strategies and using people and people's relationship and attachment to the place become even more important. They provide this link to identity.
To recap, Olympic City, USA was developed by a few people waiting for a plane flight back from Nashville, a city whose heart and soul is music. While having so many sports organizations is certainly unique to Colorado Springs, are these Olympic organizations and athletes at the core of the Colorado Springs brand identity? Doug was right when he said brands need to be formed from the inside, but what are the things that are most memorable and important to people here in the Springs? In order to find out more about the connections that people have to Colorado Springs and their opinions on what makes the city special, I went out and interviewed some residents in different parts of the city. I decided to start with a local realtor who has unique insights from working with people who are experiencing Colorado Springs for the first time.
When people come into Colorado Springs for the first time, besides being out of breath when they're walking a flight of stairs, what they notice is just a feeling of space. Blue skies, space. I think they're surprised because the city is not as cold as maybe they were expecting. Even if the temperature is at 30 degrees, it's kind of a warm 30 degrees because there isn't a ton of humidity here. People, I think they can be outdoors a lot more than they expected to year-round when they visit.
Very unlike what we expected again. I don't know, I think that I just thought it was gonna be cowboys and like meat and potatoes out here, and it really isn't. It's insanely beautiful. The pace of life is much slower. I meet people who are working and loving their jobs and then really loving their family life, loving their neighborhood and community, and invested in their other place, whether it's church or the gym or the theater or you fill in the blank.
My favorite part about the city is the outdoor things that, activities that we can do, a lot of biking, hiking, going to the mountains. Mountains are literally in my backyard, so that's probably my favorite thing. It's easy to take for granted the blue skies, the mountains that we see every day, but in my travels that I have done, not only in the United States, but also abroad, we have the bluest skies. So many places, they're very gray, And so I miss that when I go on a vacation or something like that. So that's one thing that I truly think is remarkable.
Pikes Peak is literally everywhere. I think it's funny when you look at a real estate listing like, oh, this house has Pikes Peak views. I'm like, right, because we live in Colorado Springs and pretty much everywhere you are, anywhere you are, you're gonna see the mountain.
My favorite part about living in the city is the access to re-energizing myself by the outdoors. I would say just all of the opportunities to be outside and to enjoy nature. You don't have to go far. I literally walk out of my door and I'm right in the middle of nature, in the middle of wildlife and deer, and that's what I love.
It seems like there's a theme forming here. Due to time and crew constraints, I wasn't able to film more interviews. However, it seems that what people are connected to here has everything to do with lifestyle and little to do with the Olympic organization. Grassroots brand formation happens naturally, as Mihalis said. And when we're talking about grassroots branding, it implies that the brand has risen from within the community as a co-created expression of identity, not just a selection.
We've done a fair amount of research because we know when you build a city that people want to visit, you build a city where people want to live. And one of the things that we know about visitors is the outdoor experience, the outdoor recreation is something that people come here for. And so visitors embrace it, our residents embrace it. So whether it's our city or county parks, whether it's our trails and open spaces, whether it's the, Pikes Peak, all those things, people love to do things outdoors here. So we know that Garden of the Gods Park is a bucket list trip for many, many people. And I would say that because it's in our backyard, or front yard, if you will, it's so accessible here that people love the outdoors.
Remember that place brands are used to direct and communicate the best parts of a place. By driving this particular brand initiative, the Olympic City Task Force has fused Colorado Springs' core identity to an international organization. This might be a good idea in terms of marketing power, but what happens when something goes wrong in the organization? In 2018, the CSND ran an article about just that. Sexual assault allegations popping up across the Olympic organizations. Task Force members point out that what the city should stand for has more to do with the athletes and Olympic values than the organization itself.
What we are essentially promoting for our city are the Olympic values of excellence, friendship, and respect. We think that those values are something that everyone in the community can embrace.
And these values are wonderful, but do they meaningfully represent the true brand and core values of Colorado Springs?
You're selling an experience to the people that you're trying to attract, but also the people that are already in your community. That's really what a brand is, kind of what you stand for as a city, as a place.
Nashville being Music City, USA works for a variety of reasons. Most importantly, its historic, authentic, and deep connection with the place. Music City, USA is abstract, timeless, neutral, and indivisible. Most people like music. Now, I'm not trying to throw the Olympic City Task Force under the bus. I think that they were trying to do something to help set Colorado Springs apart. But by latching onto an existing organization, they've ignored some of the most unique, valuable, and authentic parts about the city. Olympic City, USA sounds like a city for athletes, sporting massive arenas and international contests. And while we do host events and house organizations, the Springs is a suburban city, full of families, active duty and retired military, and unparalleled access to nature. It was a pretty cool place to grow up. Every place has a brand, and while I don't see Olympic City, USA sticking as the main brand of the Springs, I do look forward to seeing what develops as the city continues to grow. In the meantime, I'll be traveling to other places, exploring unique cities across the world, meeting their people, and unraveling their stories. See you next time when we head to Iceland and Canada to explore the different effects of social media on place branding efforts.